Uh, Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great most under the rule well. And shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sharing truth, pushing this word to the four corners, man. Got Zark on Zero Hedge. And it's funny because, like, the WEF, the World Economic Forum, these guys, it's wild-headed, just kind of popped up into relevancy at the start of the the whole pandemic, the lockdowns, and then push the Great Reset vibration out, and it's the vibes kind of continued, it's persisted over time, and it's like now the shit it's on the regular where they're kind of mentioning things. And it's like you look at the members, and it's like it's once again one of those gatherings, one of those groups where they just gather a wide variety of people that have power in various places around the world, and then they're pushing out agendas that lean into the greater agenda of the New World Order, heading towards the Karugma, the MOTB, and all that comes with it, man. The collapse of society, suspension of money, the current monetary system, these things essentially. So yeah, it's funny as hell. So it says World Economic Forum calls for merging of human and AI intel to censor hate speech and misinformation. So it says despite the fact that no one asked, the WEF is now advocating for the merger of human AI systems to censor hate speech and misinformation online before it's even allowed to be posted. A report published to the official WEF website anonymously warns about the perils of the dark world of online harms. But a globalist body run by comic book Bond villain Klaus Schwab has a solution. They want to merge the best aspects of human censorship and AI machine learning algorithms to ensure that people's feelings don't get hurt and counter-regime opinions are blacklisted. And this has been the vibe that's been pushed out. It's been evident for a while, because you had one of the big ones where it kind of shifted was when YouTube switched their community guidelines, as they call it, to where they were talking about what their community guidelines, so that they could basically look have the angle of blimey. They switched their community guidelines, so they had the angle essentially of having a wider berth of how they can kind of take people's accounts out. And it's something they've been utilizing heavily. So it's over a process of time, you've really seen greater and greater amounts of just channels getting swatted, getting zapped, getting taken out. Because why? Because they're as far as with this, that's all in line. They're trying to have it where it's going to be a singular message going out, everyone being in accord, and that's something that that you've seen developing over time, and more. Well, that's why you have the simplifying of like political lines, to where it's just you have the right and the left, and it's like the left is getting more entrenched on the left and the right is getting more entrenched on the right, to where you're only allowed to have one opinion about every issue, more or less, and align with one of either sides. It makes it easier to control people's mindsets and whatnot and manipulate them, and it keeps them occupied with thinking about those things rather than seeing laws being put through, seeing changes in dynamics, because these things come into, it's like how the UK has hate speech laws, where it's like, you're reading the scriptures, and if someone, brings someone complains, the police can come in and throw you in jail, and charge you and whatnot, and be completely justified. Because what? That's, they've made it where it's like, in the UK it's distress and alarm. If you say something that causes distress or alarm to someone, which, you saying boo can cause them distress. So how much more so when you're teaching, the words Yahweh Shemi Al Shai. Then, but, once it's done, it's done. Like, they ain't, that's something that's never gonna go back, and you're only gonna have more things piled on top. And this lines up with that. So after engaging a whole host of mumbo jumbo, the article continues by proposing a new framework. Rather than relying on AI to detect at scale and humans to review edge cases, an intelligence-based approach is crucial. By bringing a human-curated multi-language off-platform intelligence into learning sets, AI will then be able to detect nuanced, novel abuses of scale before they reach mainstream platforms. So yeah, it's basically a thing where they're looking to have, what they call subject matter experts to feed back into the AI, and then that'll inform what they look for. So it's essentially, the subject matter experts, whatever their alignments are, they're basically going to be the ones who decide, what you're allowed to say online and not. And that completely lines up with the elites. Because why? Because these guys are getting exposed. Because all kinds of different things, all different angles of how they're trying to bring about their plans and enact things. These things are now being spoken about on a wider and wider scale, to where like pretty much anything that goes down, you can have people going into certain things. They might bring up certain articles. They might bring up, okay, these are the drills people were doing a few months back. This was mentioned, in this, or it might have been like, this TV show basically was bringing these things out. There's a wide variety of ways and places where these things have been mentioned to them, where it's like, after a while, people are waking up, people are paying attention. And then, even the most jaded motherfuckers on the planet Earth, they see enough, they're just gonna start being like, damn, okay, maybe there's something to all this. But yeah, it all comes down to Esau's his mentality, his approach, his desire, man, and how the people have been, the minds of the people are. So Revelation 13:3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed." So yeah, you had the beast wounded to death. It's like when the Roman Empire got taken out, and Jake came in, but then what? The deadly wound was healed. That was the Renaissance, the rebirth, when Esau came back into prominence and then started to tear down the images and put up his own and completely change the dynamics of how society functions. And that's something that was done gradually over time, on to the point where you get to like how it is now, where it is at this point, where people are just all kinds of completely disconnected from any form of righteousness, any form of understanding, and they're completely embedded and entrenched within a system of Esau. That's where they go where they base their morals on, where they base their lifestyle, how they conduct themselves, what their aims and goals for are in life. All these things are based on what? On their, what's it called, man? All these things are based off their Salak. Based on what? How they were raised within a society. It says what? And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And that's the mindset. That's why Esau's able to get away with these things. Because why? Everyone's in bed. Everyone's partaking in the system. Everyone desires to continue to partake in it. Most people, it's like when you have all these, BLM and these different Jake movements, they're trying to come up within the system and have it lean into their favor. They're trying to have it work for them. That's what they're trying to get out of it. It's not a thing where they're thinking, okay, we're gonna do away with it. They're looking to come in and be like, okay, we're gonna make these things work for us. And that's how all these different nations are basically thinking, like, okay, we're gonna be able to put all the capabilities of these different systems to our benefit. But hey, that's how people are accepting it. It's Amos 8:11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Most High Power, that will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh." So yeah, it's a famine basically of what? Of hearing the word. And that's lines up with what? Because the word's gone out through what? The unicorn, through the internet. And that's the thing where now there's too much coming out. There's too much. The Spirit's working too much with His truth, with His word, pushing it out to where it's gone completely global. And in every corner and crevice of the earth, this thing can be found. Because why? Through that unicorn, man. You can be in the midst of Antarctica. If you got a satellite connection, you can get net, and you can be watching videos, man. You can be getting edified. You can be in the depths, or there might be, I think, the depths of some of them jungles. It gets a bit peak, but you can be out in the woods, deep in the woods, and still getting net. You can be, in the cut. You can be all kinds of out of the way, and still get access to this thing. It's not a thing where you need to kind of go to the street corners anymore to kind of find it. It's been spread with a far wider net, and that's why that's all looking to be done away with. Because by and large, it's like the way people used to get informed before. They'd watch BBC, they'd watch CNN, they'd watch news at 10. So I remember them news anchors, you used to know them off by heart. You used to already know. It's like, at 6 o'clock this guy comes on, 10 o'clock this guy comes on, 7 o'clock that guy comes on. That would be how you're getting informed. And now it's like before the guys on the news, they're using Twitter videos. They're you go to any event happens, like you see a video of it on Twitter, you see people from the Sun, people from the the Daily Mirror, people from CNN, people from wherever, so like replying and saying, hey, can we use this video? Because why? Because they get a camera crew on deck. You don't even need that anymore. Everyone's got a fucking camera in their phone. You can have 100 fucking phone videos of some event going down, or live streams or whatever, before you have a old school crew get down there. But it's all about the net. So that's why they're looking to close that loop to where it's like, okay, you can't even go, you basically only get it through the channels they designate, and that's a level of control they're looking to go back to. This is what Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah. So that's where it's gonna get to. It's gonna get to where what? Brothers are gonna be targeted directly. And you can see these things being built up. The domestic, tea has become a wave. That's become a thing that's getting pushed, man. There was a notification I got It was only on RT about some guy that, you know, in Washington, near Capitol Hill, I believe, is meant to have drove up there, set his car on fire, and then, you know, shot shots in the sky, and then blazed his head off and sat in his car whilst it was burning down. Like, the shit sounds like it's out of a fucking movie, man. It shit sounds like it's fucking made up. Which I don't know until they release some footage or something. They're the only ones reporting it. That's why I was like, this shit sounds like a fucking cartoon, man. But that's the shit's fucking wild. But that's the scale shit's got to, where it's getting out there. But then what? They're looking to paint brothers with that brush to try and say, okay, this is what these guys are about. When now full well, all we're doing is going out teaching the scriptures. We're basically, it's like what? We're you know, we're just men, we're just out here with the Bible, you know, getting debating with the scriptures. That's all we can do presently. Cause why? So we ain't got any involvement in those kind of behaviors, obviously. Because why? The scriptures say what? Wait ye upon me. But yeah, you can tell that they're clearly aiming to what? To have it where all these things, you know, it goes back to how it was before, where there was limited sources for information, limited ways information can get about. And then what instead? But and it's in the scripture, it says what? It's gonna be the famine of the word. That doesn't mean Esau's, you know, gonna get the W. It's even more so shows why what? He's still in the bounds of prophecy, man. He's setting himself up. He's set it up. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabashim Yashab Shalom Kakadash Shalom.